Here we have Fugo, whose jockey club name is The Fire Within, and he is an 8-year-old 16 one-hand thoroughbred gelding by Frisian Fire. And this horse has a whole bunch of experience in Hunterland. He was started by a local hunter trainer who's a friend of mine, and she took him to RRP last year in 2024. And he spent the whole year last year doing all the hunter stuff to get ready for that. And he did very well at RRP. And I've got a bunch of footage of him, both from RRP last year and doing a whole bunch of other hunter rounds linked to my YouTube. And it's sort of funny when so he hasn't worked in a few months, and that's really why he's here, is just that, she's super busy with her program. And Fugo is so ready to find his next person. He's really ready for an amateur or a I think he's totally fancy enough for a professional to continue developing. Anyway, so he's here to get going again. And I was a little bit out of my element the first couple of times I rode him because, well, the first thing is just that I'm not used to riding hunters to begin with. And Fugo is, God, she's so quiet. It's a little insane. The first couple times I rode him, I literally just like couldn't make him move. It's like sort of hilarious, but like we were like walking and that was taking so much leg and clucking. I could hardly make him trot, let alone I literally couldn't get him to stay in the canter. It's sort of hilarious. So he is unfit and he is very round and fat at the moment, which I think he's perfectly happy as. But it's more than that. He's just super quiet in general. That's just his go-to nature. And his current human who had him all that time confirms that that is just his natural state of mind, is to be that quiet. So I've got him going now in a D-ring snaffle. No flash. I tried the flash on him one day for no real reason other than the flash was just on the bridle I was using, but he didn't like the flash. I could make him move the absolute least with the flash on. So the second I took off the flash, he was more happy to go forward. So he does not need, nor does he like a flash. And I've got some little tiny spurs on, and the little spurs really help me out with him a whole bunch. So we are getting to know each other. I think we're on the up and up now. I'm sure Fugo's relieved that I'm figuring out this whole thing of how he likes to be ridden. And he's just such a talented, fancy type horse. I mean, I definitely think he's fancy enough for a professional to continue developing. And he's also definitely quiet enough for an amateur or a young rider. He's a little bit offbeat on the ground. He can be a little bit quirky to handle on the ground. When he first came, the first couple of days, he was a little bit nervous. And so he required a little bit of, extra attention and care on the ground. But now that he's been here for over a week, I have to say that if I didn't know that about him, if nobody had told me he's a little quirky on the ground or a little insecure on the ground, just working with him now on a daily basis, I would not guess that. He is an absolutely total normal horse in the barn to work around. He stands on cross ties fantastically. He's excellent for tacking, for bathing, perfect at the mounting block. There is absolutely nothing about him right now that seems odd or quirky to me at all. Now, I absolutely believe his connections, that he's nervous for the farrier, so he needs Dorm for the farrier and that sort of thing. But just on a day-to-day routine of handling him, to me, he's just a perfectly normal horse. And actually, he's a really friendly, sweet horse. I really like him, and I definitely think he's warming up to us here. And I know that I'm enjoying working with him. He's a fun horse. So Fugo is lazy, but he also, once you can find the go button and get him moving along, he's really got a beautiful way of going. His movement's lovely. He's wicked soft in his mouth. And so it's just like half a pound of pressure in each hand, if even that. And he's just so round and so happy to be over his top line. I love his expression as he's doing his ride. He just looks happy. He looks content. I certainly don't feel any stress when I'm riding him. He just feels like a happy horse to do his job. Your mouth might be dry at the end of the ride because you're clucking so much, but other than that, just a really lovely horse. And there's nothing wrong with some clucking. Most people like to be able to cluck to their horses. And my goodness, he just makes such a beautiful shape. So in the canter was probably where I struggled the most with him, because I literally just could not get him to, at first I couldn't even get him to step into the canter, which is just sort of hilarious. I mean, I ride so many horses, and then here's just this fat, out of shape 8-year-old who's got, a whole year of experience showing, and here I am feeling like an idiot because I can't make this horse canter. It's just, you just have to laugh. It's just funny. So we are much improved in our canter work these days. And I'm going to ask him to canter again here in a second. You can certainly sit on Fugo, but he's a hunter, so he's used to a lighter, more half seat position, especially in the canter. He seems really happy with that. And I think he's a beautiful hunter. I think he would love to continue doing that job. He certainly could go on and do another discipline. I'm not saying he has to stay in hunterland, but I could absolutely see why he would stay there. So I'm really happy with this. I think that this is a huge improvement in our last couple of rides, and he has a great canter. It's balanced, it's rhythmic. Obviously he's so soft. It takes nothing from the rider to get this horse to want to be round. In fact, if you were paying attention at the beginning of the video in the trot work, I literally just dropped the reins and rode around with my hands on my hip, and the horse is literally, he is still round even without you having your hands on the reins. So he's just that soft a horse. He doesn't really have any preference. He's very even left to right. I don't feel like his canter or his canter transitions are better one way or another. He was very well restarted, and that's pretty obvious to me. To say that I think that my right stirrup was shorter than my left stirrup, and it was too short, and it's really irritating me watching this ride back. But other than that, I can't fault anything in this picture. I certainly can't fault Fugo. I think that he's looking absolutely magnificent. I mean, the horse is just, he is gorgeous. And he's all the things to ride. And he's not spooky at all to ride. I mean, I think that on the ground, maybe he can be a little bit spooky, especially perhaps if he's in a new environment where he's not settled. But to ride, I don't think he has spooked at a single thing. And I've ridden him with my dogs out, trailing around the edges of the ring and, barking when vehicles come down the driveway and all that kinds of thing. And he has not batted an eye at anything. So that's just a little bit of walking. And then, so I put even more footage of him on cross ties on the ground than I normally would of the average horse. I wanted to show how he is picking his feet, which is that he's perfectly fine. He does not have a problem picking up his feet. I think for whatever reason, the farrier specifically makes him a little bit nervous, but for his everyday humans, he's perfectly fine about picking up his feet. And then there's a little bit of footage of me, I think, grooming him. So yeah, this is him. I mean, this is how he is to work with on the ground every day. Just a happy, friendly, very easygoing horse.